everybody, hi every spirit, welcome very much to the channel. Today let's talk about the full moon in Scorpio and let's go straight into it. First, what it means to be full moon and what it means to be in Scorpio. Full moon represents the accumulation of energy of the moon, and the moon usually represents our feelings, our emotions, our reactions, our responses, our places of comfort, security, safety, what and how we attract, and just in general our internal realm. Scorpio is fixed water, so it represents the ability to be fixed, consistent, stuck or stubborn in feelings, emotions, dreams, illusions and imaginations, and then it's ruled by Mars. So also it means the ability to be fixed on your emotions and imaginations that are associated with your passions, motivation, frustration, aggressiveness, and deep desires. And it's also co-ruled by Pluto, and Uranus is exalted in Scorpio. So the co-ruling of Pluto means that Scorpios or scorpionic archetypes, people, places, things, and energy deal or are seen as in deep transformation, aggressive, scary, unpredictable, unknowingly of a logical, on a logical faction, on a logical capacity, and dark, always associated with the dark because not associated with a logical perspective. And then the exaltation of Uranus means that it's all about change, and Pluto is transformation, and transformation is the accumulation of small changes. So full moon in Scorpio means that you or people around you and the world in general have more likelihood of overreacting, over responding, or just overfeeling and overachieving fixed, consistent or stubborn emotions and feelings, dreams and illusions, imaginations, passion, motivation, desire, frustration, transformation, dark stuff, or that feels like it's dark, it might not be. Scorpios are great at exaggerating, either in telling stories, either in hiding things, or just going through stuff that's not that deep, and then they make it really deep, or sometimes they go through things that for others are really deep and scary, but for them it's normal because spiritually they went through those places already a million times. Then it has to do with change, and because the exaltation of Uranus means that Scorpios are learning how to take that Pluto aspect a little bit, toning it down. So life is not, or certain situations are not so transformative and intensive and aggressive, but instead of being a huge transformation, it's slight changes over time. So you might feel uncomfortable if your emotional space, if your security or your safety throughout these 5 days now in the future change a little bit or are a bit inconsistent, because the full moon might make you or others around you overreact into those situations. So in general, full moon in Scorpio usually is more intense than other full moons, but also because it deals so much with fixed water, you can contain it better if you know how to deal with yours, others, and the world's emotions and feelings, dreams, illusions, and imaginations. You can concede or conceal in your emotions and feelings, and even though you might be overexalted or overreacting, you might not be aware of it, or you can contain it. You don't need to express it. People that don't know how to deal with scorpionic energies, they might need to lash out. They might need to attract something to balance them out and extract that excess of water, extract that excess of aggressiveness and of frustration. And general advice for full moon: don't go into too many crowded places, don't overreact to anything, don't over-respond to anything, even to your thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions. Make sure to protect the seeds that you have been planting. Don't start hating yourself, don't start hating your path, don't start hating things that you have been doing or the things that you didn't do. Just take it as a lesson, just take it take it as something that happened and you are aware of it, so now you can improve. And it's going to be a bit more complicated to not do that over exaggeration because it's a full moon in Scorpio. So feelings and emotions will be more powerful. Feelings and emotions will be more present and more aware because the sun is in Taurus opposing the moon. So you can see in your reality, in how you are fixed and consistent when it comes to profit, stability, love, beauty, and appreciation, where you see and act on those things. It will be easier to see from you or others the deep feelings or the lack of deep feelings, because people that don't know, and spirits in general that don't know how to deal with scorpionic energies, they might just straight up ignore it. They might just pretend nothing is happening. They might just not respond to their own internal realm because it's too uncomfortable, it's too transformative, it's too real, too intense sometimes. But the positive fact here about the full moon in Scorpio is, if you were planting good seeds, even though you might not be already succeeding, even though perhaps you found some obstacles, the purpose, the cause, the passion is enough to keep you going. It's enough to, even though you're feeling a bit sad, or you're feeling a bit down, or you're just not feeling as excited, you can still see that better future. You can still do it right now, even though you might be taking a break. In full moons, usually it's okay to do what you need to do and then relax and enjoy what you have been planting, or maybe you already have some fruits growing. It's all metaphorically, of course, and you're gonna be enjoying them. Just make sure to not go too far, but make sure to enjoy the fruits and the seeds as well, otherwise they will rotten and attract bugs and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So in general, a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings that can be bad. If you can handle it, that can be good, because even if you are on a negative situation, or even if you're not as excited or as productive or as anything you can be, the consistency of emotions, feelings, passions, and frustrations are enough to keep you going and to keep you focused and to keep loving and valuing yourself, because that's the balance, the perspective in common between Tauruses and Scorpios. Between Aquarius and Leos, for an example, the other fixed signs, it's all about uniqueness and individuality. Scorpio and Taurus is that as well, but on another layer or another perspective, because it's about self-love and self-value. You going through certain experiences, internally Scorpio and externally Taurus, to remind or rebuild internal value and set core of values, which is still dealing with uniqueness and individuality. Because if you don't have uniqueness and individuality, you will not have self-love. And if you don't have self-love, you're not enough unique or enough individual. Now that we took that general vision, let's see how the full moon is aligning with the rest of the sky. For starters, Mercury is now in Taurus, so our minds and our hearts, our minds and our emotions are, Mercury is in Taurus, sorry, not in Scorpio. They are opposing, the mind and the heart is opposing, the mind and the feelings are opposing. So this can be good because it brings balance, or it can be bad if you're not wise enough, or if you're too stubborn, because it's fixed energy, right? Taurus and Scorpio, fixed earth, fixed water. So if you're too stubborn, you might not be able to align in a good angle your thoughts and your ideas and your feelings, I mean. And where will they differ? So the full moon, it's bringing a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings. It's about being satisfied, about feeling alive, feeling the thrill. And our mind is about being safe, being on point, being organized, being profitable, looking good, looking sustainable, looking fair, looking balanced in the way you speak, in the way you move, because Mercury is the closest to the sun. So the actions and the expressions can be in the same wavelength, even if you have different sun and Mercury. But a fact, an astrological fact, the sun, Mercury never goes too far away from your own sun. So that's already representation. So Mercury also involves the bodily language, the body language. and the real language. You know what I'm saying? So you want to show that, or through that, stability, profitability, safety, security, but in terms of feelings and emotions, you want to be a bit less organized, less safe, less efficient. You want to go fulfill your emotions until the cup is all full and starts coming out. But you actually can find the balance. You can go crazy or a bit crazier than usual in your emotions and feelings, because then through your mind and through your logical perspective, you can find safety, you can find stability, you can find profit and the way to make sense out of all of those feelings, emotions, passions, and frustrations. Then Venus is in Aries, in conjuncting full moon in Scorpio, but in the same or similar wavelengths, because Aries is ruled by Mars and Scorpio is also ruled by Mars. But Venus doesn't like that. Venus and Mars are opposites, they are in the same sphere, in the same dimension. You have Sun and Moon, Mars and Venus, Jupiter and Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Then you have the outliers, which is Mercury, the closest to the Sun, and Pluto, the furthest away from the Sun. Those two are still waiting for their pair, or they're still waiting for their pair to develop. That's for another video. I have an interesting theory about that. But Venus doesn't really like Aries. It's good for us because it brings the beauty and sophistication of Venus to Aries and brings the realness and the flavor of Mars into Venus. But here's going to be a misunderstanding between your relationships, what you value, what you love, and what you are enjoying at the moment, and your feelings and others' feelings and emotions. So you want to feel a bit more intense, or you need to feel more fulfilled, or you need to have more consistency and safety in your emotions and feelings, but your relationships or the way you relate or the way others are relating to you, it's a bit more reckless, a bit less consistent, a bit less stubborn, more creative, more innovative, more naive, and more expressive. But the feelings and emotions are asking us to be a bit more private, to be a bit more calculative. But in general, it will be kind of the same. It's going to be passionate, both the relations and the values and the feelings and the emotions, both be a bit tolerating a bit more aggressiveness and frustration, and it's all about fulfilling the creativity, the emotion, and the desire. But Venus, aka our relationships and our love, a bit more initiative, expressive, external, and naive, and more spontaneous. The feelings and the emotions, the full moon in Scorpio, a bit more internal, protective, private, calculative, fixed, and stable. Next up, we have we have Mars in Leo, which is squaring this full moon in Scorpio. And this today has a bit extra tension, because Mars, the ruler of the moon, is on a sign which is squaring, aka bringing more pressure to that alignment. So it's like your father is beating you instead of the world beating you, instead of life beating you, which is kind of more okay. It's like your father, your mother, or somebody close to you is beating you or being mad at you. So it hurts a bit more because it's something close to you. You know what I'm saying? But it's still good. It's always a learning opportunity from the squarings, from the 90 degrees angle. So what is that lesson? So Mars is in Leo, full moon is in Scorpio. So we are learning how to see and act about ourselves and our passion, motivation, aggressive, and frustration. We are learning how to see and act on those areas that are very personal to us in a more consistent, light, creative, spiritual, relatable, individualistic, and egotistical way, while feeling fulfilled, extreme in some areas, but maintaining a balance and not ruining the image, not ruining the pleasure, not ruining the relatability and the creativity because we too private, we too insecure, we too calculative, we too afraid of ours or others' passions or the expression. Because sometimes you have no problems with your own emotions, but expressing it, that's another deal. Sometimes you don't think your emotions or your desires are weird until it's exposed. So we are learning how to expose, act, and express our passions and aggressiveness in a better light while having that sense of privacy, fulfillment, stability, and protection in our emotions and feelings, but still able to transmit that in a consistent and fixed way, in a more creative and light way. And that's a big square for Scorpios. I think Scorpios, or Scorpionic energy in general, struggles more with Leo than with Taurus and Aquarius, the other signs. Because Aquarius and Taurus have another level of responsibility or stability, or they just add more layers that help explain or communicate or protect the Scorpionic desires and emotions. Leo is straight up illumination, is straight up showing, because sometimes Leo represents, or all the fire signs, but more Leo and Aries, you expressing something without wanting to, or others being able to see what you're trying to hide. Because the more you try to hide something, other spirits can see your spirit trying to cover it. Your spirit is spending too much time in that area. So other spirits, using their Leo and Aries capabilities, will be like, oh, you hiding something. I don't really know why, but you acting more conservative. You spending too much time in that space, you know what I'm saying? So there is a tension here, but in the end of the day, it's great, right? Learn how to express our most internal part in a consistent and light way without losing that important internal part. It's really, really good and really satisfactory. The process might be weird, it might feel more scary, it might be feeling more exposed than usual, but it's just the overreaction and the overstatement of the full moon. But also, if you're doing the right thing for you, if you're planting the right seeds, the full moon, instead of bringing bad things, it will bring a faster learning process, or better teachers, or better situations to go through, or you just don't even need to be exposed. You just think and imagine and travel spiritually, and by going through those spiritual paths, you reach conclusions. You still feel a bit ashamed because you imagine certain scenarios, but those are enough to evolve, and you don't need to be physically put through those situations. Then, full moon in Scorpio is in conjuncting, misunderstanding Jupiter in Gemini, so we are misunderstanding how to expand and travel within our surroundings, social circles, and intellectual groups and topics. We are misunderstanding that with our and others' consistent and fixed ways to obtain emotional and internal security, fulfillment, pleasure, and extreme travels. On the positive side, even though you might be misunderstanding or others misunderstanding you, even though you might be going through some situations that make you look like a fool, or you gotta be associated with fools or support certain fools, we can learn how to communicate in a more light, dry, cold, and logical way, but still convey the internal, purposeful, and intentionful part of ourselves without showing too much, showing the right things, and keep things mutable, light, and logical. And then if you do that, you can expand your network, your communication, or just your logical capability to deal with those internal, holistics, but still necessary parts of ourselves and the world. Then, full moon in Scorpio trining Saturn in Pisces, a gift to bring structure, profit, limits, and boundaries in how you communicate and associate yourself with yours and others' fixed ways to obtain emotions, feelings, or extreme passions and motivations. So you can have the gift, or somebody around you can have the gift, because of the mutable energy of Pisces, to bring structure, limits, and boundaries to your emotions and feelings. But because of the full moon, you might overreact to that and feel smothered, or you might be overreacting to the mutable part of Pisces, and then you ignore the limits and boundaries and you bring too much internal garbage to your Saturn, to your world, to your responsibilities, to your networking, to your associations that represent or can represent in the future potentially structure, stability, and some sort of authority or the presence in an organization. This gift is good though, because we can bring our deepest parts to our reality in a more mutable and in the same wavelength, but also that means that your trash can also come out really easy in a fixed, consistent, and extreme way. But then also, if you have good connections and if you understand how Saturn is working right now in Pisces, you can clean it or make it look less trashy, or you can make it look less intense or less destructive by bringing that mutable Pisces, Jupiter, Neptunian, cute, imaginative, and creative side to your Saturn or to your internal realm. Because mutable energy, it goes everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But positively, you can bring structure that feels light and mutable to your internal realm, and you can bring passion, motivation, or overreaction to the world when it comes to spirituality, organization, religious, or just illusions, feelings, and imaginations that are inserted or the foundation of certain infrastructures, organizations, or just social concepts in general, right? Just like, for example, having a job, it's way more than having a job. It's having a security, being seen as a normal person, being part of society. That's way more than physical structure. It's also emotional structure and spiritual structure, because that's what we call having esoteric friends, where there is a concept that everybody is doing and you naturally feel good by being a part of it. But you know you are a real spirit when you don't hate it, but also you wish to be more on your own space, to bring and create your own thing, and then you use that esoteric common space as a place to show it, as a place to find people that want to participate in your own esoteric show. And Saturn in Pisces is perfect for that. It's actually very, not very, but a good amount of balance, because we have Saturn structure and Pisces spirit or imagination. So it's perfect for you to be on your own structure, but still through the mutable aspect of Pisces, connect with the overall or with the biggest spiritual marketplace, quote unquote. But full moon in Scorpio can make you or others in that place overreact to passion or very, very internal and personal feelings and emotions. Then full moon in Scorpio is opposing Uranus in Taurus, so clashing or balancing your own overreactions with innovation and change that brings uniqueness and individuality to how you and the world is achieving or will achieve stability, practicality, safety, profit, love, and beauty in a fixed and consistent way. So you might be struggling with the Taurus element or with the Uranus element, or with all together, because Uranus co-rules Aquarius, so it's another squaring, another fixed sign, applying a bit more pressure to Scorpio. But if you have more Aquarian energies or more Saturnian energies, or if you have an expanded mind and you want to improve in the future in a stable and profitable way, Uranus in Taurus can relieve you. Maybe you're feeling too much pressure, too many emotions, too many feelings, too much in general, and then you can feel the fresh air, the fresh wind that leads you into a profitable land that needs all of your water. You know what I'm saying? And then it drains you in a good way, and you can see your water helping new plants grow. Great metaphor right there. And then also full moon in Scorpio, misunderstanding in conjuncting Neptune in Aries, misunderstanding the new grand illusions and grand imaginations being expressed and acted on at the moment, because they just feel too fresh, too naive, and too exposed, and you want to be a bit more protective and a bit more internal. Lastly but not least, full moon in Scorpio squaring Pluto in Aquarius, learning how to feel comfortable, learning how to apply your internal passion, motivation, anger, and frustration that is through the roof right now, learning how to apply that to the new world. What is the new world? Pluto in Aquarius. What does that mean? The world is transforming into a place where everybody will have or will benefit from having their own mind and expressing their own unique mind in a consistent, fresh, and unique way in or about themselves, in a logical way, about the world, organization, infrastructure, humanitarianism, but still having that seriousness, that unpredictability, and that freshness and lightness and fun of an Aquarius. So trying to apply your deep emotional realm into this new future, because the future is now. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Your support is greatly appreciated. Get your personal reading with me using the links on below, emailing me, or leaving a comment down below as well. Thank you for watching. Esoteric Cloud Surfer is surfing out. I wish you the best thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and a whole bunch of individuality, creativity, and responsibility. Believe in yourself, believe in all possibilities, and you'll be alright. Happy full moon.